Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to this ENLIGHT event this morning, focused on communities and universities and how they can together share the journey to shape the future. And this is a part 2 event following on from part 1, which took place at the ENLIGHT kickoff in March. Just to introduce myself, my name is Pamela Devons, and I am the ENLIGHT Project Manager at NUI Galway. And just a little bit of background before we begin. In the ENLIGHT Alliance, each partner university acts as a gateway out into its region. And this event today gives us a unique opportunity to share insights on how our regions and universities are collaborating to tackle the challenges that we all face and to share best practices. The relationship between communities and universities is an integral one for ENLIGHT, as we aim to formulate long-term sustainable solutions to today's societal challenges. So I would like to welcome or offer a Céad Míle Fáilte in Irish to the audience today. And it's great to see so many people joining in. So the audience is comprised of our university colleagues across the ENLIGHT Network. And I'd also like to extend a particular warm welcome to all of our external partners from the 9 ENLIGHT regions. We are delighted today to have speakers from the regions of Ghent, Bratislava, the Basque Country, and finally, Göttingen. As this outreach event is jointly hosted by NUI Galway and Uppsala University, my co-moderator and Uppsala colleague, Emilia Zielinskaite, will shortly provide a brief overview presentation of ENLIGHT for anyone this morning who is new to the initiative. But before we begin, I'd like to hand over to colleagues from both Uppsala University and NUI Galway to formally open this event. So firstly, I'd like to give the floor to Ms. Erika Dablekar, who's the Director for the Division for Internationalization at Uppsala University. Erika.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Pamela, for the opportunity to open this Communities and Universities session by and also for representatives from the 9 ENLIGHT cities and regions. In Uppsala, there has been a vital cooperation between our university and our partners in the city of Uppsala and the region of Uppsala, as well as the region of Gotland. To mention a few examples of our ongoing collaboration, I would like to highlight initiatives within IET Health, Uppsala Urban Lab, and Collaborative Aim Days, as we refer to the model of structured meetings between representatives from academia and industry. Through ENLIGHT, we now have the opportunity to expand this collaboration and build a platform on the European level in which all of our respective communities can share experiences on how the ENLIGHT flagship challenges have an effect on the local environment. This is not only exciting, but also help creating relevance in our educational offerings that will cater for future generations of students. Thank you. Back to you, Pamela.
Thank you, Erika. And now I'd like to hand over to Professor Becky Way, who's Vice President of International here at NUI Galway. Becky?
Thank you very much, Pamela. And as Pamela said to you earlier, Céad Míle Fáilte, which translates from Irish into 100,000 welcomes, which is a traditional Irish greeting. So a very warm welcome to you from Galway. And we're really delighted to be co-hosting this event with our colleagues at the University of Uppsala. But most importantly, we're delighted that you're able to join us, and hopefully many of you to participate both in the plenary event, but also the network event that follows on from this. ENLIGHT is all about creating networks and maximising the value that we all get from them. But of course, it's not just about university networks. As both Erica and Pamela have said, ENLIGHT is about so much more. And it's really at the heart of what we want to do as a network, to bring together and link our regions, our communities and our municipalities across the network to maximise the benefits, to share ideas, to think about these immense challenges that we're all facing in the future as the world changes rapidly around us and presents threats that we all have to deal with and address rapidly. And so sharing thoughts and ideas on this and sharing ways of working and innovation is going to be critical to our success in the future. So this is such a great opportunity. And as Pamela said, this is the second event we've run. And really this is the start of the journey of introducing everyone to each other, bringing people together and getting into a space where we can share learnings, technologies, ideas, thoughts, and in particular the challenges that we're all facing. So I do particularly want to warmly welcome and thank our speakers from Ghent, Bratislava, the Basque Country and Göttingen. But I want to once again really warmly welcome you, our audience, because without you, this isn't an event. And also just finally to thank my colleagues in Uppsala and Galway for organising this. So just to name them, Pamela and Aisling from Galway, and Emilia and Jonathan from Uppsala, who are doing a fantastic job in running this event for us. So now we're going to get over to the main business. So I'm going to hand you over to Emilia, who's going to start the introductions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Becky. Let's see. I'm sharing my slides so you can see it soon. There we go. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm Emilia, and I would like to give you a short introduction to ENLIGHT project. But what does ENLIGHT stands for? We are talking about European University, network to promote equitable quality of life, sustainability, and global engagement through higher education transformation, in order to shape our future cities and communities through the partnerships. As you might see, ENLIGHT brings together 9 comprehensive, research-intensive universities from 9 European countries: Belgium, Estonia, France, Germany, Ireland, Slovakia, Spain, and Sweden. And they are all covering all 4 European regions according to the EuroVoc criterion. By summarizing ENLIGHT's mission, we can say that it is to undertake a fundamental transformation of European higher education by empowering learners as globally engaged citizens with state-of-the-art knowledge, skills, and innovation potential to tackle the major societal transition and to promote equitable quality of life and sustainability. And everything is in close connection to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. ENLIGHT envisions to give people from all the 9 regions access to the courses that are brought up during the engagement with regional partners, to interconnect campuses digitally, and to engage with partners and universities in order to address complex and societal issues. And of course, to create globally engaged citizens. We can identify 5 flagship areas that ENLIGHT focuses on in order to fulfill its mission and vision: health and well-being, digital revolution and impact of digitalization, climate change, energy and circular economy, and equity. I must say that I am thrilled to continue our conversations that started in March this year, as mentioned already in the beginning of the event, when we had an opportunity to meet regional stakeholders from Bordeaux, Galway, Tartu, and Uppsala. And today, we are also delighted to welcome the representatives from Ghent, Bratislava, Basque Country, and Göttingen. But before I introduce the speakers of today, I would like to introduce you to the Work Package 5 team that was working on this event. First of all, it's Pamela Devins, project manager at NUI Galway, and myself, Emilia Zilinskaite, project coordinator at Uppsala University, that will be moderating this first plenary session, while Aisling Hanrahan, project coordinator at NUI Galway, and Jonathan Schell, project manager at Uppsala University, will be moderating the closed session in the breakout rooms. And now it is time to introduce you to our speakers of today. Mr. Adelbrecht Haenebalcke, Head of Department Education, Childcare and Youth from the city of Ghent in Belgium. Madame Petra Dzurovčinová, Chief Innovation Officer from the Bratislava Municipality in Slovakia. Mr. Adolfo Morais, PhD, Deputy Minister of Universities and Research from the Basque government in Basque Country, and Madame Ekaterina Ershova, Advisor for Scientific and Economic Affairs from the city of Göttingen in Germany. And without any further delay, I would like now to leave the stage to our first speaker, Mr. Adelbrecht Haenebalcke. Stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Emilia, for the introduction, and I will start with sharing my screen. Normally you can see it. Is that okay? Okay, so thank you for the introduction. My name is Adelbrecht Haenebalcke, and I'm head of the Department Education, Childcare and Youth from the city of Ghent. Excuse me for the annoying noise, but our fire department started testing the alarm system, but normally it will be very shortly. Excuse me for the background noise. But we are a proud partner of our Ghent University, and I'm glad to meet you here in this ENLIGHT event, because shaping our future cities is what we stand for. In this presentation, I will give you a quick overview of our city, our higher education institutes in Ghent and how we work together, our priorities linked to the ENLIGHT challenges, and some examples of collaborating on wicked issues. Due to COVID-19, we are still obliged to meet each other in the safe digital environment. But in Ghent, the vaccine program is speeding up at the moment. So I hope to see you next time in Ghent, Europe's best kept secret. Our mission statement describes where the city stands for and aims for it in the coming years. It's our compass for policy making to which the city and its partners are aligning their strategy. The city of Ghent is an important ambassador for the Sustainable Development Goals in Flanders. We are stepping up this period even further with the publication of an annual sustainable report. And also our first report has been submitted to the United Nations as a local review. This is also planned for future reports, and in this way we can benchmark ourselves with other cities in the world. And from my own department's perspective, we invest a lot in our city as a child-friendly space. And I'm proud to announce that we are shortlisted at the moment, together with 3 other European cities, for the European Youth Capital Challenge in 2024. And if we make it, I invite you to join and support our program. Ghent is the largest center of education in Flanders, with more than 55,000 pupils in primary and secondary schools and more than 78,000 students. On the next slide, you will find an overview of all our Hays in the city. And as a city of people, we have a long and rich tradition of working together with them. We have a lot of bottom-up initiatives, mostly based on strong personal networks or relationships. And Charles Landry in 2016 mentioned after an audit in our city that this gives us a lot of potential, but that we underuse it. And at the same time, there was a growing demand for collaboration. So we worked towards a more structured cooperation between the city of Ghent and the Hays, and this because of a lack of overview and coordination, need for a common strategic vision, and to keep focus on the real issues. And in 2018, and on demand of our major and our management team, we installed a more structured way of working together. Besides existing platforms for urban development and the welfare for students, we installed a strategic committee twice a year and 2 new clusters, Hay and Ghent in the world, in relation to the increasing importance of internationalization, and the cluster for innovation and collaboration on wicked urban issues. The city of Ghent also works closely together on the international level, for example, in European grant projects and European networks like Universities. These topics are discussed within the new cluster, Hay and Ghent in the world, under the coordination of the Service of International Relations and Networking of our city. This platform started also in 2018 and brings together 3 times a year the head of international cooperation from our Hays. And there are several areas of interest linked with the SDGs, and these topics are urban economy, planning, culture, society, sustainability, lifelong learning, and also cross-cutting topics like effective governance of city-university cooperation and regional cooperation. And in the notes of this presentation, you can find more information of some of these grant projects. In Ghent, we believe that the next big thing will be a lot of small things. All these things combined will make the difference in becoming a smart, sustainable, and livable city. We often underestimate the collective wisdom that is present in our cities. And that's why we embrace all kinds of initiatives. Whether you call it triple or quadruple helix, we work together with all societal actors like civil servants, entrepreneurs, researchers, students, and NGOs. And in perspective on the ENLIGHT challenges, our city defined 3 themes for innovation: health, education, and climate transition, with extra funding. Health concerns us all. We focus on strengthening the health skills and increases the accessibility of healthcare. And Ghent also has 4 large hospitals with an international reputation in various medical disciplines. And in the field of prevention, we also play a role by actively involving citizens in preventive health actions. And this sector is not standing still and is also participating in the modernization and digital transformation. In Ghent, we have a specific ecosystem in the field of the health tech and life sciences that is still too little known today, but which has done pioneering work in this field. In education, our city wants to give every child maximum development opportunities. However, the Corona crisis has also strongly challenged our business. Distance learning was gaining momentum and digital tools were needed more than ever. This switch was not so obvious for every child or teacher, and that is why Ghent wants to support the education sector and vulnerable families in this transition. With the educational world, we want to focus on innovation and modernization. And for example, we were able to bring the SET Fair, the largest event related to the future of education, to Ghent. We embrace educational transformation and technology in Ghent in an inclusive way. And finally, the climate transition is recognized today as one of the biggest challenges. Reducing CO2 emission to minus 40% by 2030 is a real objective. There are also many gains to be made in the field of sustainable food and a circular economy. The Ghent Region Tech Cluster, Clean Tech Cluster, is a good example, and it gathers entrepreneurs and knowledge institutions that contribute to a more sustainable and healthy future. Remember our mission statement: we make the city together, and urban challenges are our common goal. And our platform has 4 objectives. We connect supply and demand through formal and informal ways. For example, by organizing dialogue days to get to know each other better, or by creating a joint calendar to enable synergies. By showing ongoing collaborations to inspire and increase impact, we also give legal and financial and methodical advice in support of initiatives, and we learn from each other across the boundaries of organizations and disciplines. These are just 3 of the 10 research consortia of Ghent University that we work with. There are similar consortia with the other HAEs, each based on its own expertise. We are looking for more cooperation with these consortia. And the nice thing is that the research centers are also looking for us. Thank you for your attention and being part of this exciting journey. You can help to inspire us. And feel free to, and do not hesitate to contact me afterwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adelbrecht. It was really good to, pardon me. Thank you, Adelbrecht. It was really good to hear your initiatives that are going on in Ghent, in education, in climate. It's really inspiring. And if anyone has any questions for Adelbrecht or any of the speakers, you can put them into the Q&A in Zoom. So just pop them into the Q&A, please, and we will be looking at the questions at the end. So now I would like to move on to our second speaker. We're really excited to now introduce Madram Petra Jurassinova, Chief Innovative Officer for Bratislava Municipality in Slovakia. So Petra, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and it's a great pleasure to be here this morning with you representing Bratislava. I would like to follow up on what Adelbrecht actually mentioned, because it feels like we're all going in the same direction, and it's amazing to see that we're all in one network working towards same goals, which is great. For Bratislava, I would like to give you a bit of a spotlight of where we are right now. We as a city, we are committed to achieving and fulfilling sustainable development goals by 2030. Right now, as a city, we are looking at collecting data to be able to analyze where we are and what actions should we take to actually fulfill these goals. Also, when we are looking at how the city should look like in the future, looking at all the challenges we are facing right now, we've like to be inspired by what OECD calls resilient cities, where on one hand you're looking at economic stability, fair society, good working municipality, and sustainable environment that is livable and attractive for residents. Everything on this slide can't be achieved by the city alone. We all have to be involved. We have to engage our partners, and we all have to step up and join forces towards fulfilling these goals. And looking at where we are now, there we go. Okay, so we are trying to connect with our key partners, and we've identified those in the academic sector, in the business sector, and the third sector, or the civic society. Looking at the state of number of students and the quality they feel when they are living in Bratislava, we can see that they've been consistently decreasing over the past 7-8 years. And with universities, we've identified this as one of the key challenges we want to solve and stabilize this number of students, because anything we want to do in the future will involve people, and we need to have high skill labor, innovative people that want to study in Bratislava and want to live here and make this city a better place. Following on that, when you have people who are passionate and innovative, they want to start companies and create something meaningful from where they are. And we know that innovative ecosystems can't be built from the outside. They need to start within the city. when we look at the priority areas we want to look at, one of them is adaptation to climate change. Another one is health and well-being. Third one is around energy efficiency. And fourth one about sustainable mobility. And all this is a combination of research and companies that can take it and make it a reality and a viable business. When we're talking about business and innovation, we also looked at SMEs as such, since they employ majority of people in Bratislava, and they're facing huge challenges when we look at the pandemic or any other shocks that are coming in the future. A lot of businesses are actually not innovating, so we have they're very low on innovation. They're able to take established innovation and turn it into a business, but there is not much innovation sparking in Bratislava, and that's where we see the role of research institutions and universities, how they can help us shape this trend and turn it around, where we enable students to turn their ideas into businesses and or work with SMEs to improve their businesses. And Adelbrecht already mentioned collaboration. For us, we can't do this alone. We've, as I mentioned it before, we have memorandums of cooperation with key universities, but it's just a piece of paper if you're not acting upon it. So for us, we wanted to work very closely on a project of creating an innovation district within where the main area of the key universities are. It's called Mlynska Dolina and Patronka, where there are businesses as well. And this area can serve as a showcase of collaboration, adaptation to climate change and energy efficiency. It's a new zone where universities are right now, but we can turn it into an attractive location for students. Look at how we use energy. There is a city zoo in that area as well, where research can be done together with universities, but we can also look at how the whole area looks like and how we shape a new way the cities look like. This is our long-term goal for next 10 years, and it would require a lot of investment, a lot of steps taken from all the stakeholders. But we are also taking actionable steps so far. So, for example, last year we've established a living lab in the city of Bratislava, where we are allowing innovative companies and academic teams to test their solutions in the live city environment. We are calling them controlled experiments, where together with these teams, we're trying to solve city challenges in those 4 areas I mentioned before. And they are a way for us to see if the technology actually suits our purpose. It helps us collect data, because we want to make evidence-based policymaking, and it helps us also procure the best solutions, so it's an effective use of funds. We also know that it's really important to be effective as a municipality. That's one of the 4 key key areas in the resilient cities, and we want to make services for residents and companies and all the stakeholders effective. We want the city hall to run effectively and understand the needs of everyone involved. So we've used design thinking, and with everything we're trying to do, we build a portfolio of ideas. It's not just one silver bullet, and that's a key and important thing. We're trying to do little pilots which can grow bigger and combine with other solutions, but we need to first test them and understand how they work, if they fulfill the purpose we've stated, and help with the things we need to achieve together. Within ENLIGHT, we are focusing on better connecting with the city hall, the university with the city hall, and also building skill set for students to be able to fulfill these challenges or fulfill their goal and help us achieve more resilient Bratislava. We also want to focus on digital skills and digital services with our partners, and possibly in other areas such as adaptation for climate change, which is a huge and broad area where we can experiment and improve the city of Bratislava. So I'm happy to share any more information with you if you have questions, and thank you so much for the chance to be here with you today.
Thank you, Petra, for your really inspiring presentation. It's really great to hear about the work that you're doing to build an innovation district in Bratislava. We in Galway are also working on that, so we'll be looking forward to talking about that within our network, as I'm sure many of the other regions and cities will be interested. Also really interested to hear about your living labs and also the living labs in Ghent, because that is a key goal of the ENLIGHT project. So thank you for your presentation. So next, we'd like to move on to Mr. Adolfo Morais-Ezquerro, PhD, who's the Deputy Minister of Universities and Research at the Basque government in the Basque Country. But also to remind the audience to put your questions to the panelists into the Q&A. So now, Adolfo, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Let me share the screen with you. Okay, there it is. Oh, just let me introduce myself for a few seconds. My name is Adolfo Morais, as you said, Ezquerro, and I'm the Deputy Minister for Universities and Research, and I would be one of the policymakers which is involved in the promotion of the collaboration between the community, the region, and the universities in the Basque Country. But not just that, because as you are going to see now, we are going a little bit further in the sense of the collaboration between the community and the universities, and we are involving many other agents in this equation. Yeah. Okay, I found it very interesting how the ENLIGHT project defines what they call the Basque Regional Academy, and I found it really promising because it is identifying many of the agents that we believe should be part of this regional academy project for the future. And we are also quite happy to see that this Basque Regional Academy project is really aligned with the policies that the Basque government is promoting at regional level. But I'm going to talk to you about, in quite a different ways, the way we conceive this collaboration to be a positive collaboration for both the university and the community. I do feel that we need to go beyond our limits. We need to promote, firstly, internal cohesion in the region, and also to add to this collaboration, the long-term collaboration externally. That means internationally. And for that reason, our policy promotes, let's say, different clusters and hubs related to knowledge. We intend to join all different actors in a flagship innovation in the Basque region, which is related to several plans, which I will present to you later on. This hubbing culture is quite new in the sense that we are joining all the different higher institutions, universities, together in different areas. Two of the examples that we already have are very much in line with the flagship objectives of the ENLIGHT project. Let's call it enlightening, as well as we call the previous one hubbing or clustering policy. So we are enlightening the universities with different universities in Europe and in the world. The other key element is the planification of sound and, I would say more importantly, sustainable policies in the Basque region. Okay, we have a long-term view planning for universities. I think this is a must. And sometimes it's quite difficult, as you may understand, in the policy sector and policies from the policy side, to plan for a very long term, just because of the way the policy is arranged in the different administrations. Well, I would say that one thing that we do, and I think it's quite important for this collaboration between the community and the university, is how we organize the Basque University System Plan, which basically provides funding, but more importantly, it provides ideas and strategic planning to the universities where they can identify the different actions and objectives to develop this plan. The plan is quite, let's say, simple in the sense that we are tackling of the missions of the universities, but in a way, it is quite aligned with major plans, the plan for science, technology and innovation in the Basque Country, where we place the talent, the people, okay, our students and researchers in the center of the target of the plan, okay. Now, your 5 flagship challenges, the ENLIGHT project, is very much aligned with the different flagships in this science, technology and innovation plan. Let's say that finally, what we do is we try to bring together major plans with European major plans, Horizon Europe, or the different flagship projects such as Quantum or Human Brain Project, and also the different European research consortiums, big ones, in which we try to cooperate and where we bring the university and its knowledge to make a better provision to the different plans. The other key element would be the cross-stakeholder innovation. That means engaging all stakeholders to respond to collective challenges. I just provided to you an example of the cluster of science and technology studies in the Basque Country involving the different universities, and more relevant, involving all the different faculties and departments, which have much of the knowledge of the subject. Collaborative strategies, in which I would like to include, and I include already, ENLIGHT project. The government is supporting the ENLIGHT project, the University of the Basque Country, to collaborate in this a very relevant project for the future. The other key issue would be something that is, from the governmental point of view, a must, is the monitoring and evaluation of the different programs. Maybe this is, let's say, a subject that is quite rough for the public, but you must understand that we need to provide an impact of our policies and an impact of your adding to these policies for the future. And I'm also very glad that the University of the Basque Country is taking the lead in the ENLIGHT project of this social impact measuring and evaluation for the ENLIGHT project and for the university in particular. Okay, we have many examples of policies that we have very recently put to the public, where we are going beyond this, let's say, funding perspective of different agents. Okay, and at the beginning, if you notice, the title of the this short speech was called Auzolana, which is the buzzword for the government, which means basically that we need and we are co-creating programs, collaborative programs innovative programs, sustainable programs, locally anchored programs, and accountable policies. Well, just to end up, let's say that the Basque government in the region is, let's say, the major provider for ideas to foster long-term collaboration and well-being policies to the society. And in this road, the University of the Basque Country is also one of our major collaborators. We are also looking forward to engage ENLIGHT community in our region's flagship goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adolfo, for your really excellent presentation. It's great to hear all of the innovations that are happening in the Basque region that are aligned to the ENLIGHT flagship challenges. We look forward to sharing those again across the network of ENLIGHT regions. So thank you for that. I'd also like to again remind our audience of the capacity to put some questions for our panelists, as we'll be moving to a Q&A session after our fourth speaker. It's a pity, Adolfo, that we were not able to hold this meeting physically in the Basque Country as was planned, but hopefully we will make it soon there throughout the ENLIGHT project. So now, finally, last but not least, we'd like to welcome the city of Göttingen. So Madam Ekaterina Ershova, who's the advisor for scientific and economic affairs at the city of Göttingen, Germany, is going to give a presentation. But we'd also like to mention her colleague, Karina Schell, who's the climate adaptation advisor in the city of Göttingen, who will also be available in the Q&A. So Ekaterina, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Pamela. Let me share my slides. All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Ekaterina Ershova, and I work as an advisor to the Mayor of Göttingen on economic and scientific affairs. I am truly delighted to be part of today's event, especially as an alumna of two universities from the ENLIGHT Network, Uppsala and Göttingen. And as Pamela just mentioned, with me today is my colleague Karina Schell from our newly established Department for Sustainable Urban Development, and she's an advisor on climate change adaptation. So feel free to ask questions to both of us at the end of the presentation. Today, I am going to focus on the relationship between the city and the university, and I will also speak about our vision with regard to the flagship challenge climate change. But let me first say a couple of words about our city. In the middle of Germany, this is the location factor that many people emphasize when they talk about the advantages of Göttingen. And a glance at the map shows that it is easily accessible from any direction. It's a growing city with a population of 135,000 inhabitants, and nearly 60% are under 45 years. Göttingen also represents the cultural and economic center of the region. And although surrounded by rural areas, the city itself is an internationally renowned location for science and business. The University of Göttingen has been shaping the city since 1737, and it is hard to imagine what the city would be like if the university didn't exist. Also because the university, including its medical center, is the biggest employer and has, together with two other universities, 35,000 students that account for about 25% of our population. Further, 20,000 people work in the scientific and higher education sector, which includes several top-level research institutes forming the so-called Göttingen campus. Because of the city's long association with academics, Göttingen has acquired the motto, Stadt der Wissenschaft, or the city that creates knowledge. The motto of the city is a play on words, where Wissenschaft also means science and scholarship. Göttingen is home to worldwide renowned companies in the fields of life science and health industry, precision mechanics, measurement and control technology, laser, optics and photonics. Along with global players, there are also many small and medium-sized enterprises, and in fact, they are our economic backbone. Some companies originated as spin-offs from scientific institutes, and basically in line with its city motto, Göttingen has recognized the innovation potential of putting scientific knowledge into practice. The founding of the university as the University of Enlightenment gave the impetus to the development of Göttingen as a city. Although the citizens of Göttingen did not always see their university as such an asset, a good relationship between the municipality and the university has always been important for both university strategies and urban ambitions. And over the past few decades, various courses of action have been taken to strengthen the city-university partnership and encourage new projects. Today, the city and the university are committed to addressing and solving challenges jointly. Last year in particular, the communication between the city and the University Medical Center was crucial to meet the challenge of the COVID-19 pandemic. There are in fact all sorts of liaison meetings, for example, between the university president and city mayor, the heads of departments and service institutions, as well as professors and local managers. As you can see, both university and city are very committed to bringing the city motto to life. And here are a few examples of how we work together. There is a networking group dedicated to the marketing of Göttingen as a city of science. And one of the projects initiated by this group is the debate with the candidates in the mayoral election taking place next Monday for the third time in its history. There is also a joint marketing initiative study in Göttingen. And then there is also the so-called service point in the mayor's office for the local scientific community and local industry. Here is a selection of our joint projects. I will only briefly touch upon the first two and then elaborate a bit more on the fourth one. So the most prominent example is SNIC. SNIC stands for Startup, Network, Innovation and Campus, and it links science, business and municipal business support services. Its goal is to increase innovation potential of the region by passing on the latest findings from research to our companies, as well as taking problems from companies and passing them on to our various research institutions. Diversity on Site is a community-based university research seminar which aims at gaining an overview of the multiple dimensions of diversity represented in the city with the goal to combine academic learning with community engagement. As far as strategic cooperation is concerned, the city and the university have been committed to their cooperation in the field of sustainable development and climate protection since 2007 and are working closely together to make a local contribution to mitigating climate change. In the last couple of minutes, I would like to elaborate on this last point as it fits in with the challenge number 3, climate change. It is also a good example of why city and university rely on each other to be successful in climate protection. And together we have been able to create a very good basis for societal change over the last decades. And here's why. As a city of science, critical thinking has always been omnipresent in our city. And I would think that this is basically an important foundation for societal transformation. A good current example is the Scientists for Future movement, which is also very active here and contributes to the public debate on climate protection in many ways. As a city of science, we have an enormous amount of knowledge about different levers we need to pull in order to make our society more sustainable. And as mentioned before, in Göttingen, we have spin-offs from various research projects that develop innovations, which in turn are necessary for sustainable transformation. As mentioned earlier, the university is not only the largest employer, but also one of the largest emitters. So it holds great potential for greenhouse gas reduction, and the city needs the university, the commitment of the university to achieve its own climate mitigation goals. And in this aspect, the city also needs the university as a role model. Here is how our work on climate protection has developed over the last decade. As you can see, the city has been active in climate protection since the 1990s, but I will only address our biggest achievements also with regard to cooperation with the university. The city, the university, and the public utility services worked as equal partners on an integrated concept for climate protection, which was adopted by the City Council in 2011. In 2012, the same partners applied for funding for further concept development to the Ministry of the Environment, and they were selected. So the joint process from working on the former concept went into the second round, and from that point on, the university has become an important and valued partner for the city in its climate protection efforts. 1 year later, the City Council decided to set up a climate advisory board as well, and the three partners each hold a permanent seat on the advisory board. In addition to that, other university members are also part of the advisory board, either as experts or as members of initiatives, for example, Scientists for Future. The continuation of the master plan is the Climate Plan 2030, and the work on it is just ending, and it is expected to be adopted by the City Council this summer. Of course, the University of Göttingen is involved. Here, a few insights into the new Climate Plan 2030. So the overall goal is to become climate neutral by 2045 and to achieve 67% of greenhouse reduction by 2030. Please note that these calculations are based on carbon budgets, and these targets are very ambitious, yet they are possible to achieve under current conditions and with full commitment. The fact that these goals are achievable was very important to us. This is, however, difficult to communicate because the public debate is all about climate neutrality by 2030. Another goal is to reduce energy demand by at least 2/3 and to generate the remaining energy demand exclusively from renewable energies within the greater city area or region. As you can see, the climate plan comprises 7 subject areas, and the university has contributed a statement and measures for the area of employment and economy. What is even more important, and I think this sums up our joint process very well, city and university have motivated and challenged each other, and the climate plan process has led to the university initiating its own process to try to become climate neutral by 2030. As far as the potential for further engagement with the University of Göttingen and all other universities in the ENLIGHT network is concerned, we thought of the following. We could offer internships for students in the Department for Sustainable Urban Development. We could supervise student master thesis. We could also provide suggestions for possible research projects. And we would be looking forward to an exchange of good practices with other municipalities. We would be also happy to participate in projects of our other universities and other municipalities from the ENLIGHT network. We are planning on submitting an application for participation in the EU mission 100 climate neutral cities by 2030. So in case other cities from the network want to apply as well, we would be interested in keeping in touch. And last but not least, we could also scale up current projects such as the project Diversity on Site. These are our first ideas, and they have to be further discussed both in-house on the city administration level, as well as in dialogue with our university. If you have any questions after today, please do not hesitate to contact us. We look forward to working with you and cordially invite you all to visit Göttingen as soon as the pandemic allows it. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ekaterina, for a very nice presentation and a great example of work on climate and partnerships with the university. And great thanks for all the speakers of today. It was very interesting and informative to listen to your presentations. And now we would like to open the stage for questions. We have one question here, but I would also remind the ones who would like to put their questions on Q&A or raise your virtual hands. And the first question that we have for the panelists is, just a second, my computer is a bit freezing here, but let me see. Here, what next steps can ENLIGHT take to enable these connections across the network and not only at the regional level? So I would like to all four speakers, but the 5 people present here to actually give their thoughts on this question. And I would like to start with Adelbrecht.
I think the answer for that was in the last slide of Ekaterina. For us also is the exchange of good practices and knowledges and future cooperation. As I mentioned, we have a lot of networks working today, and ENLIGHT can enrich the cooperation more on the specific flagships of ENLIGHT. For my department, equity is a very specific team where we work on, and the Living Lab, the hub developing in diversity. So I'm looking forward to exchange information and also on the governance of working together between the cities and the knowledge institutions.
Thank you, Adelbrecht. Petra?
Yeah, I would just follow up on that because we are just starting these activities. I can see that other cities and the universities have already been working together intensively before. And for us, it's just the beginning. We've had City Lab for just over a year, and we would love to learn more, maybe shape our processes in a way that it's more effective. So we are all about kind of trying to figure out and measure our success. So learning from the more experience would be very valuable. And we actually took the idea of City Lab from Eindhoven when we were there, because they're quite good in developing Brainport, and it's a huge inspiration because Bratislava and Eindhoven have very similar background stories. So for us, it's about inspiration and basically taking things that work into practice and trying them out the same way we're trying out innovative solutions in the city.
Thank you, Petra. And Adolfo?
Yeah, hello, thank you. Well, I agree, of course, with my colleagues in the sense that we need to know the good practices that are going on in the different regions or cities that are partners in the ENLIGHT project. But I would say that there is something that, from my point of view, is very relevant to the communities. And I know that you universities are working together for a long time and you know each other very much. But this is not the case for the regions or the cities in the ENLIGHT project. So one of the things that I could propose is that there could be a kind of parallel communities, kind of network, okay, where these good practices could be shared, where the communities could feel a little bit more engaged with the ENLIGHT project. Okay, so promoting the common, let's say, understanding of the regions or the cities and their goals would be important, I think, for the ENLIGHT project. And I think it could be a good for today's session.
Thank you very much, Adolfo. And Ekaterina.
Yes, thank you. I think there are two aspects I would like to address. So on the one hand, and I mentioned that in my presentation, we have been working closely as far as the flagship challenge #3 is concerned, climate change, but this might be not the case for every flagship challenge. So we would be also interested in an exchange of good practices with other municipalities and universities as far as other flagship challenges are concerned. And the other aspect, and I think this is also what Adolfo just mentioned, engagement with the community, with the citizens of the city itself or of the regions, and establishing certain channels of communication. I think this is a very important aspect. Yes.
Thank you, Ekaterina. And Karina?
Yeah, it's hard to add anything. I think I would just emphasize that it's also interesting to learn about, how to put it, to learn about do's and don'ts, that we can learn from each other and don't have to invent the wheel, but that we don't have to make the same mistakes. So I think a very honest and open discussion would be really fruitful.
Thank you very much, Karina. And we have one question for the audience dedicated to Ekaterina. So I really like how the interdependence between the city and the university has been highlighted. Does this interdependence translate into a participation in the governance of each institution, the university in the governance of the city and the city in the governance of the university? This is for Ekaterina.
This is a very, very good question. In fact, there are multiple levels that can be addressed here. On the one hand, as far as the city council is concerned, there are representatives from the university, you know, people working in the academia who are also part of the city council. There are not that many though, I have to admit. Might have something to do with the fact that also professors in Göttingen are not always here forever. They might be, you know, just moving to another city, another university. But another aspect, this is maybe not the case for city engagement in the university, but industry engagement in the university. So one of the biggest companies in Göttingen is is on the advisory board for the university, for example, so that their knowledge transfer between science and industry can take place. But this is also something that can be developed further. There are also another aspect, it has nothing to do with the governments, but we certainly want alumni of the university in Göttingen to stay in Göttingen and maybe also to work institutions related to the city development. So this is the retaining of the talent as also a goal that is actively pursued as well, both from the university and from the city government.
Thank you very much, Ekaterina.
So I would also like to take some questions from the audience and put them to the panel. So we have a question from Joanne Pages. Thank you, Joanne, one of our colleagues from Bordeaux University. So Joanne has asked that some activities in ENLIGHT involve students directly in problem-solving projects. And your presentations are all very inspiring and encouraging, but do you anticipate any difficulties with multi-stakeholder engagement, and what are your thoughts on getting students involved in these regional and city projects that you have all outlined to us this morning?
And this question can be answered by Petra.
Thank you, Emilia. So we have some experience with that, and to be honest, it's really, really hard to engage students meaningfully, because the cities are such complex ecosystems with sometimes conflicting interests that it's really hard to explain to someone from the outside the complexity of the task we are facing and how their work is tied to the whole city. So we've tried identifying challenges that students can solve during semester. Some worked, some really didn't work. It was a learning experience for us. I think really important is to state a challenge very clearly. So what problem are we trying to solve? Provide data and have someone in the city to mentor the team or the students involved, and kind of have regular catch-ups with them. We've also worked with groups of students where we ask them a what-if question, like how could we improve the city for students? So what they've done, they've run a series of surveys. They asked their friends, and they went out to the city. So it was a full-on research project for them. And it was very interesting to see their perspective, because we wouldn't be able to ask those questions because we are not in their shoes. So it's really good to involve them in how to make the city better for them. And thirdly, what actually worked very well for us was having a climathon. So it was a hackathon aiming towards sustainability and climate change. And we had two very clear challenges stated in there, and very interesting student solutions that were quite creative. And with one of the winning teams, we're actually working now on developing the solution for the city. So that is quite helpful. And what is key in any of these activities is to have a follow-up, like what as a city are we going to do with all the information and all the solutions that are developed, because it's very frustrating if nothing happens.
Thank you, Petra. Would any of the other panelists like to come in on that? Okay, thank you for your comprehensive answer, Petra. That really gives us an idea of how we can get students involved in a meaningful way. Okay, so we have a question again. All of the speakers have highlighted the importance of the role of universities in educating a highly skilled workforce, and a dialogue between regional governments, industry and innovation actors on what universities need to do to prepare our graduates for the future would be very valuable. Question for the panelists now: how can we open up these conversations? And I'd maybe like to invite maybe Adelbrecht to comment first, and then if anyone else would like to comment, please raise your hands.
So the question is, how can we exchange knowledge between the communities and the universities? Was that the question? Because that is a nice topic.
So the question is, so the role of universities is a very important one in educating a highly skilled workforce for the challenges we have all spoken about. So what do all of us, communities and universities, need to do to prepare our students? How can we open up these conversations between communities and universities?
Okay, I think the universities and the university college have a lot of experience in the part of the learning skills and the research skills. The exchange between what they learn and our urban wicked issues is the next challenge. And we organize internships and open our work floors to connect what they learn and what the real life and real challenges are. But also, I think the next step will be to explore more the community service learning. Like Ghent University opened a challenge this summer to gain extra teams, to gain extra challenges between the quadruple helix in our city. Entrepreneurs, us as a local government, can explore what the need is in the university of the teams they are working on, they are studying on, they are creating research. But the main goal is to connect these challenges with real urban issues. And that's why I'm very happy that we are making the next step, also with gaining studying points for the students on the part of the community service learning.
Thank you, Adelbrecht. Would anyone else like to? Ekaterina, please.
Just to follow up on that, and this is also something I mentioned in my presentation, community challenge-based research seminars that we have in Göttingen is something that we work closely on together. So the idea behind it is that on the part of the city, topic requests or suggestions can be expressed, and students often comply with this, yet they can also suggest their own topics. And the idea is basically of a two-way knowledge transfer between the community and the university. and students get an understanding of a certain phenomenon, and there is a possibility to integrate the gained knowledge with the intention of benefiting the community. So it's a win-win situation, basically. Students are prepared because they are aware of the challenges in the daily life in the city. In this case, it's, for example, in the dimensions of diversity. And for city, it's a win-win because we also get, you know, some suggestions how to improve the current situation, and further topics can be further researched at the university. And just to give you an idea of the topics that have been researched in the past years is, for example, use of public transportation by people with visual impairments, or post-colonial perspective on the monuments of the city, or accessibility of urban mobility infrastructure for obese people, or last example, analysis of street names with regards to the representation of dimensions of diversity, of if the streets have can get the new names. And this has been discussed currently right now in Göttingen. It's all over newspapers and in social media. So it, you know, also gets, you get kind of an idea of what can be done in the city itself.
Thank you, Ekaterina. And I see also Karina was raising her hand, so please.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to add a thought that what we might need to work on further is that we promote the city of Göttingen as a research focus, that more students are willing to have their focus on Göttingen when they address a certain topic in their master thesis or even PhD thesis. This is something that we can promote more, I think. Like taking up real problems here in Göttingen. Yeah.
Thank you, Karina. And we have many questions popping up, but I will choose one and I will ask it as a last question for now. My question would be, if there is an intention to broaden the scope, how can more cities, universities, other than the 9 already, benefit from these initiatives? Does anyone already work with other cities or universities within the country? And I would like to start asking Adolfo to answer this question, and please feel free, other panelists as well, if you want to comment.
Hey, yeah, I mean, the way I see it is that the ENLIGHT project has focused on different universities in Europe, but I mean, already these universities are collaborating in a much broader scope than the ENLIGHT project. So if the question is if there is going to be an intention to broaden the scope of the ENLIGHT project, of course, this is up to the ENLIGHT project. But as far as I do understand it, the scope is already very broad. And the opportunities to collaborate both at local level, as I said in my presentation, I think they are a reality. So many of the panelists to talk about the collaboration with all the EI in the community or in the city. So basically at the European level, that is also a reality within the universities. And I would say internationally, it is also something that is already happening. Maybe not such in an intensive way within the ENLIGHT, but I am sure that many of the ENLIGHT outcomes are going to be of very, let's say, good use to other opportunities with other universities within or out of ENLIGHT.
Thank you very much, Adolfo. Is there anyone else that would like to comment here? Yes, Petra.
I just want to say we are already naturally cooperating with the other main university that is here in Bratislava. So their Communities University is a close partner with the Slovak Technical University and also the Slovak Academy of Sciences. So it's naturally happening. And for us, we are a capital, so we're trying to work with other cities and share knowledge because we have the luxury of doing some of the work that other cities can't afford or don't have time because of all the operational things they have to cover. So we're trying to help them. And if we think about digital technologies, we're trying to use open source technologies so we can share them with other cities and so on. So I think we're just starting, and this project can also help us on how we can share our outcomes and the best practices with others.
Thank you very much, Petra. Adelbrecht, please.
In my presentation, I gave an overview of all our haze in our city, and it's more than one. So we have a very close and a long tradition of working together with the Ghent University. But as an example, when we are working together on wicked issues in our urban academy, for example, then we collect researchers and students from all different universities or the university colleges within the city, but also further. We closed a very nice project this year on learning disabilities, and then there was a cooperation with Leuven, with Antwerp, with Mechelen, Thomas More. So it depends on the team, but we have also a lot of representatives of all universities and haze in the city, so we have a good choice to work together.
Thank you very much, Adelbrecht. So I think I would like to thank for the questions raised in this panel discussion, and thank you for our panelists. And I would like to give a word for my colleague Pamela.
Thank you, Amelia. Just one further comment from one of my NUI Galway colleagues, Una Murray. Thank you, Una. Una, you gave a good suggestion that have the participating universities already put together all of their information on their structure, their schools, departments and units. And yes, the answer is we're currently working on that. And you also mentioned the research focused institutes. ENLIGHT Rise is a project that's focusing on research and innovation. That's a follow-on project to ENRISE. So all of the things that you've mentioned are currently in train to help us build linkages across universities. So thank you for that comment, Una, and thank you to all of our panelists. So we've gone slightly over time, but just to close, I'd really like to thank all of our regions and cities of Ghent, Basque Country, Göttingen and Bratislava for their inspiring presentations this morning. It's been really interesting to see what's happening in all of our ENLIGHT regions and how this can be capitalized across the ENLIGHT network. We can see great potential here for further cooperation in our projects, and our outreach team would like to signal our intention to bring the regions together in a network of communities to get further synergies. So in closing, on behalf of the outreach team at both Uppsala University and NUI Galway, and on behalf of the entire ENLIGHT network, we'd like to thank our presenters and our audience for their engagement this morning. So now we would like to invite those who are participating in the closed session to move to the second half. It's in a different Zoom room. You have been provided with the link, and we will have breakout rooms for further discussion. So as I said, this is a closed session intended primarily for our external partners, our presenters this morning, colleagues working in the ENLIGHT community, along with students and staff. So once again, I'd like to thank you all for your excellent presentations this morning. Thank you.